And if y'all remember, I mentioned a parlay a little earlier in the evening. We're kind of running out of options as far as what I can close that parlay with. If you haven't figured it out, I am on my boy Curtis Razor Blaydes. Now, I've already put out a couple of articles out for the people to read. I do a lot of content. I write articles for odds.com and the boys over at Sports Pub, the Pub Sports Radio. It's not gambling based, it's MMA based, but it's a lot less betting content. It's more opinionated, it's more laid back, it's more fun. My content that I do for odds.com is sports betting and gambling centric and related. I'm going to break down the stats and facts for you. Do me a favor, head on over, give those a read through for me. That just supports me directly. If my content is getting good clicks and good views, it goes a long way for me. So thank you all very much for the support. I very much appreciate it. Curtis Blaydes, 29 years old. He is 13-2. Alexander Volkov is 31 years old, 31-7. So we've got two guys that are essentially in the prime of their careers. Curtis Blaydes is only second to a man by the name of Frankie Murder. If your name is not Francis Ngannou, this man ain't losing. He is the unsung hero at heavyweight, in my opinion. If Francis Ngannou did not exist, Curtis Blaydes would be the man. And I honestly think he would probably have the strap already if it wasn't for Francis Ngannou knocking him out those two times. And I think one of those was an early stoppage. Remind me if I'm wrong. I didn't go back and rewatch those two fights because we all know how they went. But I think one of them was called a little bit early. Curtis has got a damn chin on him, dude. If you can take a punch like that from Francis Ngannou, nobody else has been able to. And Curtis wasn't out stiff like everybody else is. He got TKO'd. The referee stepped in and waved it off. But he wasn't out. So this guy has got a chin. He can tank some serious damage. And he is a monster. He trains out of Elevation Fight Team. We talked about them a little earlier. I'm a huge fan of that squad. I'm a huge fan of what they're doing in the sport right now. I think they are on the way up. And the fact that he's got, cardio for days at heavyweight at 265 pounds, this guy's got cardio for a 25-minute fight. It's unreal. You don't see that a lot, and it's very, very special. Alexander Volkov, on the flip side of this thing, only has one UFC loss. He's been on a very, very good run. He had that last-second knockout loss to the Black Beast. He bounced back off of that with a good, solid win over Greg Hardy, though. His level of competition so far in the UFC hasn't been spectacular. He fought Fabricio Verdum, the shell of Fabricio Verdum, when he came off. When he was USADA caught him, basically. He dragged him into deep waters and TKO'd him in the fourth round. Very impressive win, but in hindsight, I'm not sure I'm grading it with quite as much as I was back in the day. He went to a decision with Roy Nelson. He went to a split with Timothy Johnson back in the day. And then he knocked out Stefan Struve. I'm not really impressed with any of those. And then beating Greg Hardy, he was supposed to pick Greg Hardy apart on the feet. He had Derek Lewis beat by volume, just stayed away from the power hand until the literal last second of the fight, dropped his hands and got knocked out. So what that tells me is this guy can get finished. He can get sloppy, and he hasn't fought somebody on the caliber of Curtis Blaydes. He's got an incredible 76% takedown defense rating. So that's impressive, but again, he is not fighting a caliber wrestler like Curtis Blaydes. Curtis Blaydes, I said this in one of my articles, and I loved my own comparison. Curtis Blaydes is like Khabib and John Jones had a baby, and then you fed him Overeem's horse meat. That's how you get Curtis Blaydes. This guy averages 6.63 takedowns per 15-minute fight, and he hits that with a phenomenal 55% accuracy. So he's constantly going for takedowns, and he does land over half of them. He averages 3.74 significant strikes a minute, which is pretty good. And then he absorbs 1.86 a minute. So he is outstriking his opponents by almost 2 significant strikes a minute. A lot of that has to do with the ground and pound. If he gets you to the mat, you can't hit back, and he just pounds on you. I talked about hellish ground and pound with Josh Emmett. Hellish ground and pound's big daddy is Curtis Blaydes ground and pound. This guy is brutal, and he's got a chip on his shoulder. He knows that he can be UFC champion. He knows that he can beat everybody in the division. And the fact that he's being held back because he got those 2 real quick flash KOs from Francis Ngannou does not sit well with him. And he's coming for blood. I am going to buy in on Curtis Blaydes when he fights anybody but Francis Ngannou. End of story. I got in early, and this is where I can kind of ease my pain a little bit missing out on that Roberts line, is that I hit my parlay with Blaydes at minus 280. That's a 2-banger, folks. I got Blaydes and Roosevelt. Parlay is minus 112, and I'm risking 2.24 units to win 2 units on that parlay. I locked that one in early. I think both guys come through. I know people are talking about Curtis Blaydes shouldn't be a minus 400 favorite, a minus 500 favorite, but honestly, I think he's perfectly valid in that range. Everyone's saying that we're disrespecting Volkov. Volkov doesn't have the kind of power it's going to take to cut off Curtis Blaydes. Volkov can't keep up with the cardio of Curtis Blaydes, and that's usually Volkov's path to victory, is being the better cardio machine here. He's being outpaced. Volkov usually has a reach advantage. Curtis Blaydes matches that 80-inch reach advantage. He's going to put that takedown defense to the test, and I guarantee you he's not going to be able to keep pace with a guy like Blaydes. I think Blaydes wins this thing by brutal, savage third-round TKO. I don't know that there's any value on taking Curtis Blaydes inside the distance. I think it's like minus 200 or something like that. Some people ask me about taking the under 4.5 because why would the bookies set it at 4.5? I'm not touching that one. That smells trappy to me. Everybody thinks Curtis Blaydes is going to finish. I think Curtis Blaydes is going to finish. But at the same time, if Volkov has the cardio, if the takedown defense holds up, if he's able to be durable and tough and survive, maybe somehow we squeak the 5-round decision here. Again, I don't think so, but I'm not touching that total, especially when it's set at 4.5 like that. That's just madness. That's crazy talk. And how's everybody doing? What's up? Welcome to the chat. Thank you very much. Hit a parlay this weekend. Love to hear that. And Nam crushed it, man. I loved seeing that. Ooh, Gabe saying I like this fight to go the distance. All right, seeing that's what I'm talking about. That total line smells trappy to me. I don't know why they would set this kind of a fight at 4.5, but I can't lay that kind of juice on it going under. Interesting. You'll be getting a nice price. You'll get paid well if this fight goes the distance. So that's definitely worth it. Is Francis to Blaydes like Jones to DC? Basically, yes. Basically, yes. He is that poor dude that if he just didn't have that one guy there, he'd be the king. He would absolutely be the king of the hill. Well, folks, there you have it. Let's recap those picks, shall we? So far this week, and I say so far because there's plenty of coin flippy spots here I might end up adding more on. We have got Jillian Robertson at minus 125. We've got Roxanne Modafferi at minus 125. I'm rolling with the ladies this week, folks. Tisha Torres at plus 175, my big dog on the card. And then Josh Emmett at plus 115. We are betting on that missile of a right hand. Then we've got my two-banger parlay, Curtis Blaydes taking on Roosevelt Roberts, and I think Roosevelt gets it done, even if it's a little hairy, and then Blaydes just mauls Volkov. I am expecting to cash that 2-time parlay. Thank you all so much for tuning into the show. We hit that 2-hour mark like we always seem to because I have so much fun hanging out and chatting with you all. But you know what? We at least kept the breakdowns of the fights going the way we were supposed to instead of spending a whole hour on the recap of last week. Once again, thank you all so much for joining in here. Give me a follow on Twitter at DieHardMMAPod. I tweet out all my action. So if I lock anything else up throughout the week, you will find it there. I will be tweeting it as we go. Tune in tomorrow for the live show with my boys here at Odds HQ. Subscribe already if you haven't, and then hit that like, that thumbs up button for me. Hey, we broke 700 subscribers on the Die Hard MMA YouTube channel. I appreciate that, but the goal is 1,000. I want 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, so help me out. If you haven't already, please give me a sub over there. I appreciate you all. Without you guys, there would be no Die Hard MMA podcast. Huge fan. Love every single one of you. Joey, what's up, buddy? Thanks for jumping in here. Good to see you. Thank you, Coco Bongo. Good stuff. Everybody, good night, good luck, and until I see you next time, let's roll.